This Capricorn full moon shows an ending to something that you've worked really hard on. It's not a particularly challenging full moon, and it actually looks like you're celebrating something that you've come to conclusion with or you're ready to put out into the world. So make use of this to celebrate or to put out and release something that you are proud of. So if you're excited to get into what exactly we can expect from this Capricorn full moon, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I make videos on astrology, and if you want readings from me, I do look at charts. You can find the link below for that. I also offer courses on passes, so feel free to check that out if you want to learn more. So first we're going to get into what the meaning of this full moon is, what the energetic dynamic is that you can expect around this time. Then we will get into what it means for you based on your specific sign and what's going to be ending or just you're going to be finishing up something in your life about. So full moons are always when the sun is opposite the moon. It's the height of the lunar cycle when the moon is at its brightest in the sky and represents either an ending or a culmination of something. So full moons are not inherently good or bad. They just show that a chapter has reached completion. Sometimes that can mean the break of a relationship. Sometimes that can mean that you've worked really hard on something and you're ready to put it out into the world. So whether it is challenging, positive, or neutral depends on the alignment and how it's playing into your chart. But first and foremost, the moon is in its exile in Capricorn, meaning that it rules the opposite sign of Cancer. So when the moon is in Capricorn, it can feel a little bit uncomfortably serious or having to deal emotionally with things in the world that are more for logic or for just working hard. So this doesn't mean that if you have a Capricorn moon, you're doomed at all. Like, this is definitely not a bad placement. It just shows working hard through emotions or putting emotions into, growing up very quickly, which can mean that the tone of this full moon is inherently more somber or serious rather than emotional or celebratory. But don't think that that means it's bad at all. The alignment actually really isn't particularly challenging. This is happening on July 10th, 2025, with the sun and the moon at 18 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn. So overall, as I mentioned, full moon in Capricorn is going to have overarching themes of putting something you've worked hard on out into the world or completing something just generally work-wise or materialistically out for others to see. So something that is tangible, is real, is not emotional inherently, and is like you can see the work for yourself. You're putting that out there at this point and you're ready to release that or put that into other people's awareness. So this is happening with the sun at 18 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, so there's a lot of, I don't want to say meaning because that's kind of a loaded word, but there's a lot of attachment to this work. With the moon, it being a full moon and the moon ruling this full moon and the moon ruling the season of this full moon, there's a tone of emotional meaning and you've worked hard on this. It matters to you, even if it's kind of more logistical than it is emotional. So the sun is in the second decan of Cancer. It's in the middle third, and that is associated with the Third of Cups tarot card, also ruled by Mercury, but that's kind of a side rulership. The Cancer is ruled by the moon inherently. So Three of Cups is usually a party card. It's kind of like after you worked hard, you're having a celebration, you're connecting with others, and you're having this like open rapport or conversation. So it usually shows a coherent tie or a coherent celebration happening. You're connecting with people that are like-minded, you are celebrating something, and it is like, you won, and now you're celebrating. So the moon is therefore in the second decan of Capricorn, opposite that, associated with the Three of Pentacles tarot card. So Capricorn is inherently ruled by Saturn, a planet of boundaries, seriousness, logistics, and maturity. But this second decan, where my ascendant is ruled by Mars, technically, with its just like kind of the texture of it kind of is Mars, even though Capricorn's ruled completely by Saturn. And this is associated, like I said, with the Three of Pentacles tarot card. And this is generally a sign of working, of tangible building of something, of literally having a project or a work to show for yourself involved. So this is usually showing that you're in process of something and that you're on the journey towards something, not that you've actually finished the whole journey. So what I see for this full moon is you are celebrating a win, but you're not necessarily to the finale yet. Like, you won the battle, not the war, but it's still something that you've worked hard on and you should be really proud of. So with this combination and no directly really close hard aspects involved, this is a pretty simple, you worked hard on this, put it out into the world. You're still working hard on the next thing, but be proud of yourself for where you got. And actually, I didn't put two and two together. This is happening within like a degree of my ascendant. I wonder what's actually, I kind of know. I don't know. We'll see what's happening for me. So the sun is co-present with Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is in Cancer, but the sun is pretty far away from Jupiter. So being co-present with the planet means that it's in the same sign, but it's not super tight. Co-present and conjunction are kind of interchangeable. I prefer to use co-present if they're really far in the sign, and then conjunct if they're like within about 10 degrees. It's up to, one's interpretation, but they're co-present, but they're not really tight together. So Jupiter is a planet of abundance and positivity, and that's coloring this full moon. It's not the tone of this full moon. It's not close enough to the alignment for me to say that this is a positive inherently full moon. It's more of a neutral, like this is happening kind of full moon. Mars is also in Virgo, approaching the South Node. So Mars in Virgo isn't making any challenging aspects to this. It's sextiling, trining, the sun and the moon in this. But approaching the South Node, which represents releasing, purging, or kind of emotionally withdrawing things from your life, it shows that part of this full moon story is surgically and decisively cutting out what is emotionally draining about that journey. There's probably a process of really delicately realizing what you don't want to continue on with, or literally being like, I don't want this person or this item or this part of this to continue on to the next thing. So there is a really surgical quality that you specifically want to cut things out because you don't want them drawing into the next thing. You want to remove things when they're not, you can let them go now. Saturn and Neptune are still in Aries. They're not really close to any kind of square with this full moon. So they're square by sign, but they're not close enough for me to really think that that's the dynamic at the forefront here. But Saturn and Neptune in Aries, I have a full video on it. It is a background transit over the next few months and then overall the next few years. It is showing a need and a compulsion kind of trend towards maturity, boundaries, and restraint with one's actions. And it shows a spiritual or ethical undertone to why you're behaving in that way. So with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, we are behaving in a way that we want to be mature and proud of during this, even if it's not directly involved with the events of this full moon. Venus and Uranus are also together in Gemini, and the Venus-Uranus kind of conjunction would have been a few days, weeks prior, essentially. But with Venus and Uranus still close in Gemini, there is a word vomit or random cerebral kind of intellectual stimulation quality where this is a really chatty full moon. I do think that you're going to be connecting with people, busy with people, and around people. This is not like a stay-at-home full moon, but it's also not a party full moon. This is a Capricorn full moon. You're not going to be partying under this. But it is noteworthy that Venus and Uranus are conjunct in Gemini, which shows mental stimulation and conversing with others being a big part of this. So to sum up the collective energy for this full moon, put out what you've been working hard in the Capricorn house in your chart, which I will explain in a little for you based on your sign. Put that out, be proud of the work you've done, you've worked hard on it, and don't get too swept up because you still have further to go. But whatever you don't want to bring with you to the next thing, just cut that out because it doesn't look like that's going to be important to you in the long run. So the tarot card that we can have for this full moon is the Wheel of Fortune reverse. That's interesting. I pull a lot of reverse cards. I know that people say that all the time. I fucking shuffle my deck. It's not as if I'm in there being like, oh, I'm only going to pull reverse. It just happens a lot to me. I'm sorry, I'm fucked up. So to be honest, this usually is not that great of a reverse card. It usually shows getting a bad hand, like being dealt a bad hand, bad luck of something circumstantial, or having circumstances you cannot change. So maybe this full moon is showing that you are letting go of something because you cannot change the circumstances. You're proud of what you did, but you're ready to let go of it because there's something that you do have control over and you're just like, I'm cutting my losses here. So overall, keep that in mind with the tone. But now let's get into what this means for you based on your sign. So for this, you're going to need your rising sign. Exact transits for areas of life depend on the rising sign to set up the order of houses in the chart. So you need to know your rising sign. This is not your sun sign for the area of life that's affecting you. So Aries risings, this is in your 10th house of career. So this is going to be an ending of a job, a career effort that you've done, like you're putting a project out or changing something and you're done with a certain chapter professionally. Taurus risings, this is your 9th house of foreign travel or higher education. So you're probably either leaving a study abroad or leaving a long distance trip, or you are finishing something up academically and finishing a course or university study. If you are a Gemini rising, this is in your 8th house of finances and investments. You could be selling an asset and making money off of it. You could be paying off loans, debt, taxes, and finishing up that owing to someone else. Or if you're not investing anything, it could show that you are cutting ties of trust or involvement with someone else and their resources. If you are a Cancer rising, this is happening in your 7th house of committed relationships or partnerships. If you happen to have challenging things in Capricorn, it could show a breakup or a relationship falling out. But if you don't, it could just show that you are working on something and it finishing, and that involves another party, or that something and a chapter that involves another person close to you in your life is finishing up. If you are a Leo rising, this is in your 6th house of physical health and coworkers. So you're probably either finishing up a health treatment program or kind of like physical regimen that you were doing in order to assist your health, or you are firing or removing yourself from people that you work with. If you are a Virgo rising, this is in your 5th house of dating and creativity. So for a lot of you, it could either be a one-off romantic night. It could show that you're breaking up with someone, but there would have to be someone casual and it would need to show something challenging in your chart. So it could just be like one romantic night, one party, one kind of fun time that you're having, or it could show that you're putting something you've creatively been working on out into the world and you finished up something artistic. If you are a Libra rising, this is in your 4th house of home and family. So you're either moving, finishing up something at home like renovations or redecorating, or leaving something and ending something with your family. If you were a Scorpio rising, this is in your 3rd house. So you're probably working on something that's productive, writing, content. You're ready to put that out into the world or end a project. That's kind of like a hobby. If you're a Sagittarius rising, this is in your 2nd house of income. So you're probably quitting something that made you money, or you are spending a lot of money and making a large purchase and a lot of your money is going somewhere. If you were a Capricorn rising, this is in our 1st house of self. So the spotlight is kind of on us and the energy is very much on us. We are either being noticed for something, recognized for something, or being the star of the show for something with our identity. If you're an Aquarius rising, this is in your 12th house of mental health and isolation. So for you guys, it's probably about a breakthrough with psychology, with your mental health, with spirituality, or it could be just like a sleepless night where you have weird dreams. And then for Pisces risings, this is in your 11th house of networking and friends. So for some of you, it could just be a party, an event that you meet a lot of people and it's a high note of meeting people. It could also be that you are ending a time or a period with a group of people and you're celebrating the ending of that chapter with those people. So if you enjoyed this, do leave me a comment down below. I hope that this was helpful and that you are putting something meaningful out into the world during this full moon, sending love, sending good vibes, and I will see you in the next one.